So hello everyone, this is CS Sanidhya, your friend, mentor and coach. So हमारे साथ आज जुड़े हैं ध्रुव. तो अगेन ध्रुव के बारे में आपको मैं बता दूं मैं, he has not only cleared his examination but he has got marks कि मतलब शायद ही आपने कभी सपने में सोचा होगा. ऑडिट के अंदर he has got 75 marks. जिस सब्जेक्ट के अंदर अपन सोचते हैं कि यार 40 आ जाए बस, एंड सिर्फ ऑडिट में 75 नहीं आए हैं, ध्रुव को सब लॉ में भी 71 मार्क्स आए हैं. So he has got 75 in audit, 71 in law. मतलब यार रिमार्केबल अचीवमेंट है. नॉर्मली अपन सुनते हैं कि यार ऑडिट लॉ स्कोरिंग नहीं है, पास हो जाते हैं कैसे भी, राइट. लेकिन यहाँ पे ध्रुव सोचो, ऑडिट में 75 लेकर बैठा है, लॉ में 71 लेकर बैठा है. ऑल्दो ही हैज टेकन माय क्लासेस फॉर ऑडिट, आई थिंक लॉ में इसने क्लासेस नहीं ली है. लॉ में इसने रिविजनरी वीडियो वगैरह यूज करा है, वॉइस क्लिप्स वगैरह यूज करे हैं, बट क्लासेस सिर्फ ऑडिट का ही लिया है, राइट. एंड अगेन बिफोर स्टार्टिंग विद ध्रुव, बिकॉज मेनली यहाँ पे ध्रुव ही है आपको जो गाइड करने वाला है. But before starting with the interview session of Dhruv, let me tell you one thing, one beautiful thing. ध्रुव ने बहुत ज्यादा इंफोसिस स्टडी मैटेरियल पे किया है, बहुत ज्यादा इंफोसिस स्टडी मैटेरियल पे किया है. एंड जिस भी बच्चे का आप देखोगे ना कि 70 प्लस मार्क्स आएंगे, तो वो हमेशा ऐसे का स्टडी मैट को इज्जत देता ही देता है. मैं कह सकता हूँ कि यार आंख बंद करके मेरी बुक यूज करो, और मेरे बुक को यूज करके बच्चे 60 65 बहुत इजीली लेकर भी आते हैं. लेकिन फैक्ट है कि यार जो बच्चा 70 प्लस लेकर आता है ना, 70 75 78, मतलब वो बच्चे ऐसे स्टडी मैट को इज्जत देते ही देते हैं, राइट. तो ऐसे स्टडी मैट को आपने भी इज्जत देना है. सो आई एम हैंडिंग इट ओवर टू यू ध्रुव.
Hello everyone. Hello sir. Thank you so much first of all sir for inviting me here. I really want to thank you because you have been a support system for me throughout this entire journey, and one of the main reasons why I've gotten such a good score here in audit and in law. So basically for audit, I took sir's classes because the duration was very less as compared to the other classes. And my primary focus was actually on the study mat itself. And I just compared your book with the study mat, and sort of it was on similar lines only. So I decided that, okay, fine, I've been studying with the study mat since the past, so why not go ahead with that only? And for the individual chapters and everything, what I used to do was basically the bulky concepts in audit. For example, standards on auditing, the professional ethics topic and all. So I used to make my own summary notes for those, so that in the future, especially during those last 5 months of study days, it just gives me that saturated area to work upon, and sort of ताकि मैं उसी particular place पे focus कर सकूं. So that's how I basically began my preparation for audit particularly. And as soon as I got completed the classes, I used to make sure that I'm doing constant revision of the important topics like professional ethics and standards. And in company audit as well, I used to focus tendingly on the sections, the basic sections, the important sections, and Caro, which was my primary focus at that point of time. And when the basically the end 5-month period of study leaves began, actually, I started focusing more upon the other areas which I used to sort of not revise that much during the previous 2.5 years of my preparation. And yeah, basically, so your classes were the boost at that point of time as well, because they just helped me to make sure that not only helped me in revising the concepts, but also helped me to just sort of try and focus more on the presentation skills, which I personally think is very, very crucial, just like every one of you also know exactly. But yeah, sir, it was sort of, I don't know, I cannot explain that feeling when I saw my mark sheet and saw the score in audit specifically, because it wasn't like I wasn't expecting anything good, but definitely I was not expecting such a good score, because you never know in audit actually. Even if a 5-mark question is correct, you cannot anticipate that you'll get 4 or 5 as well. So this is what personally I think. Regarding the other chapters, like apart from standards and the professional ethics, for which I had my own notes, what I used to do was written practice. So usually I think what is important in audit is to remember the subpoints. So I used to make sure that I'm writing those subpoints as and when I'm remembering those, because I think written practice is very important. Apart from presentation as well, the written practice of points, like you can learn the points, the subpoints probably 5-6 times, and if you write those 2-3 times, I think they are more sort of easy to memorize if you have written them with your own hands, right? I used to just do that. Used to have a summary sheet in prior to each and every chapter that I went through. I used to have a summary sheet wherein I would have written what all are the topics which are important, what all are the topics which I've learned, and what are those subpoints and everything. And yes, so this is how basically I sort of prepared in a summarized manner. This is how I did it. And definitely, sir, your YouTube revision lectures were the primary and the first thing that I used to do whenever I used to begin my audit revisions. And one more thing, just a very, very important thing, which basically helped me, which is the main reason that I scored good marks, was cumulative revision, which many of you might be doing as well. I used to make sure that every chapter that I'm picking up is I'm at least revising it for three days, at least 3 days in a cumulative manner. So this is what basically I used to do. Your voice notes and your revision videos whenever I used to be, in a free sort of a space.
Okay. So basically, Dhruv has not left any scope for me to ask much of the questions, right? You have answered almost everything I could have actually thought of asking you. So I think Dhruv ने mostly answer कर दिया है that how he emphasized on study material, but at the same time for bulky topics like the standards, like the professional ethics, he used to make his own notes. Then he used to focus on the keywords. Then apart from that, one thing he is stressed upon is that one thing he emphasizes that it is very important to work on presentation, as I always guide you. It is always very important to work on presentation. You just cannot go behind concepts. In exam, if you just go behind concepts and you just deliver your concepts, you will be getting that average 2 out of 4. If you want to get that 4 out of 4 or 5 out of 5, so in that particular situation, concept भी अच्छा होना चाहिए, वहाँ पे language भी सही होनी चाहिए, और साथ में presentation should be good enough. Only then you can get that 5 out of 5, and then you can target such kind of marks, right? And Dhruv, one thing that the student want to ask you कि यार 75 लेकर आए हो, ऑडिट में 71 लेकर आए हो, लॉ में तो सिर्फ ऑडिट लॉ ही पढ़ते थे क्या?
नहीं sir, actually I scored decent in other subjects as well. I scored 76 in SFM, 67 in FR, and exemption in other 3 subjects of group 2 except SCMP. In SCMP I scored 58. So no, sir, basically it is not the case. I used to make sure that if I'm doing a particular practical subject, say SFM, which a lot of students also follow. So I used to do in the morning, I used to make sure that I'm studying audit. And in the evening, I used to take a small nap and make sure that immediately after I wake up, I'm either studying audit or law, because when you wake up, your mind is definitely comparatively fresh. So you can focus more upon the theoretical subjects. That was my basic preparation. Because I knew that if I'm not doing 5 or 6 revisions of audit and law, then in those 1.5 days, it's certainly not possible for me to even cover 70% of the course, let alone be 80 or 90%. But yeah, so I just made sure that at least in those 1.5 days, I'm able to cover the maximum out of the course. But still, I was also not able to cover the entire course in those 1.5 days, which I certainly accepted it, because I knew it is very difficult to cover. Like for me, I certainly knew that I will not be able to cover the entire course. But I think I personally feel that it's very important to be, persuasive towards yourself. कि आपने जितना किया in 1.5 days, you'll not be able to learn everything. Even if you're scanning through the topics, you have to just give yourself the confidence कि नहीं यार मैंने पहले पढ़ रखा है, and अगर ये paper में आता है, so I'll probably be able to write it down. Even if not be possible, like say suppose your question is for 5 marks and you have to write 6 points, and even if I'll not be able to write 6 points, I'll at least be able to write 3 or 4 points. So I think it's very important to drag that sort of a confidence in those 1.5 days and not, push yourself कि मैं इतने अच्छे से हर टॉपिक करके जाऊंगा, because अगर हम ऐसा करते हैं तो मेरे को पर्सनली लगा कि हम एक टॉपिक पे बहुत ज्यादा टाइम लगा सकते हैं in probably the hope कि, and 1.5 day planner आपका is perfect. I strictly followed that only, your 1.5 day planner.
Okay, so again यहाँ पे Dhruv emphasized on the thing. One important thing he mentioned is that he knew that it is very important to revise 5 to 6 times. So revise the subject 5 to 6 times, revise especially audit 5 to 6 times. So many of you who think कि भैया 2 revision से काम चल जाएगा, 3 revision से काम चल जाएगा, नहीं चलने वाला. At last you are going to tell me, sir, why we are getting 40s or 45. And when I'm going to ask you कितना revision किया था, आप यही बोलोगे 2 या 3 revision किया था. Right, so you have to make sure that वो 5 to 6 revisions हो. And study mat use करके भी ध्रुव ने वहां पे 6 revision कर लिया. क्यों कर लिया? Because ultimately study mat में भी he used to do his markings. मैंने क्लास में कराया, he used to do the markings. This is relevant, this is not relevant, this is important, this is not important. In every chapter he used to attach a page of summary that this is the relevant thing I have to study. For every bulky chapter he made his summary notes. At the same time, as he mentioned, he found the time for written practice as well. He gave one written test as well. Right? So all these things made the difference. All these things made the difference. जो अपन excuses ढूंढते रहते हैं, यार study mat कैसे देखेंगे, लिख के कैसे करेंगे, टेस्ट कैसे देंगे, presentation तो कभी focus ही नहीं करते. तो all those things Dhruv did, and that's made the difference. And you see, every successful candidate will speak about one thing, that when he started preparing the subject, he was already thinking about the 1.5 days. So you cannot think about the 1.5 days at the end moment. You have to start thinking for the 1.5 days at the time you start your preparations. It is also very important, one thing like Dhruv emphasis that he told me that I used your planner, it was perfect for me. Now for the students seeing the video, maybe my planner is perfect for you, maybe my planner does not suit your needs. You might have to customize your planner as well. But the point is that it is very important to have your 1.5 days planner, and it is important for every subject, right? तो ध्रुव लॉ के अंदर में सिमिलर स्ट्रैटेजी फॉलो किया था आपने?
यस सर, मतलब थियोरेटिकल सब्जेक्ट है पर्सनली थॉट की, मतलब अगर मैंने नहीं किया साथ में कंटिन्यूस बेसिस पे क्यूमुलेटिव रिवीजन के साथ तो नहीं हो पाएगा, वो लास्ट के 5 मंथ्स में बहुत बहुत ज्यादा बर्डन आ जाएगा। एंड फिर मतलब वही होता है कि डीमोटिवेटेड फील होता है, और काफी ज्यादा टाइम चला जाता है उन सब चीजों में। तो यस सर, विद लॉ एज वेल आई यूज्ड टू डू दैट ओनली। साथ में एक बार पढ़ लिया, उसके बाद क्यूमुलेटिव रिवीजन, उसके बाद कंटिन्यूस क्यूमुलेटिव रिवीजन तो एक्चुअली स्टडी जिससे पहले हो नहीं पाता था, but I used to make sure that I'm revising those topics at least once in 2 months or 3 months. ऐसा नहीं कि पूरा पूरा कोर्स, बट हाँ फिल्टर लाइक डायरेक्टर्स, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट आईपीसी एंड ऑल्सो आई यूज्ड टू डू दैट ऑन अ रेगुलर बेसिस। बाकी फिर जब स्टडी लीव शुरू हुआ उसके बाद I gave a specific period of time for every subject. Initially, I began taking up one subject at a time, but then I got to understand कि इससे नहीं होगा, you have to take at least 2 subjects. अगर one subject लेना भी है तो काफी लोग ले सकते हैं जिनका कमांड बहुत अच्छा है काफी सब्जेक्ट्स पे। For me personally, it was like मेरे को ग्रुप 2 में बहुत अच्छा कमांड था, मेरा ग्रुप 1 में इतना अच्छा कमांड नहीं था, even though I had done revisions of audit and law, but my SFM and FR weren't that strong. So I knew कि मेरे को थोड़ा focus side by side group 1 पे रखना ही पड़ेगा, even if I'm doing group 2. So I just began with that sort of pace. And so basically just कि last 5 months में आप cumulative revisions are very important. Written test is for me it's like one of the main success mantras. And you can say definitely have a perfect plan for those 1.5 days. Doesn't matter whose plan you're taking, doesn't matter what sort, but you have to have that plan at least 2 or 3 months just by when you do your last revision prior to those exam days. You have to have a sort of a decent study plan which you can enforce. I feel.
Okay, Dhruv, like in audit, I gave you insight from presentation, right? For many of the chapters. So did the same insight on presentation worked for you in law as well in a similar manner? That did you try something in law as well कि हाँ सर ने जैसे audit में बताया था, law में भी ऐसा कुछ करते हैं, presentation पे काम करते हैं?
Yeah, yes sir, because I think theoretical topics में especially in law, if you say like अगर कोई particular question है तो you have to write the legal provision, then the matter of the question, your explanation and the conclusion, which is basic for like the four paras is a basic even in law as well in audit, basically in theory subject. So yes, और आपका मतलब आपने जब बताया था इनिशियली कि ऑडिट का प्रेजेंटेशन के बारे में, तो एट दैट टाइम आई न्यू कि मेरे को लॉ का भी प्रेजेंटेशन के ऊपर ऐसे ही वर्क करना पड़ेगा इन 4 पैराज वाले तरीके से, एंड आई यूज्ड टू डू दैट ओनली। मतलब एक बार अगर आपने प्रोविजन पढ़ लिया, इट्स नॉट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू इट्स नॉट वेरी डिफिकल्ट एक्चुअली टू कि मेरे को मेमोराइज करना पड़ेगा प्रेजेंटेशन एंड ऑल। अगर आपने 1-2 बार लिख कर लिया ना, वो तो हो जाता है, मतलब आ जाता है वो। एंड यू जस्ट हैव टू हैव दैट फेथ कि हाँ मैं कर चुका हूँ। मतलब ऐसा नहीं हो पाएगा कि आप एग्जाम से 1 महीना पहले वापस रिटन प्रेजेंटेशन की आप प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हो, वो नहीं आ पाएगा। यू जस्ट हैव टू हैव दैट फेथ इन योरसेल्फ कि मैं एक बार कर चुका हूँ, 2 बार कर चुका हूँ, मैं एक रिटन टेस्ट दे चुका हूँ, अब आएगा तो मैं कर लूंगा एग्जाम में। एंड आई थिंक कि मैंने सिर्फ एक टेस्ट ही दिया था, विच वाज समवेयर सॉर्ट ऑफ इट डीमोटिवेटिंग मी। मेरा थोड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस कम हुआ था उस चीज से कि यार मैंने एक ही टेस्ट दिया सिर्फ। आई वाज प्लानिंग टू गिव 2 or 3 टेस्ट, but group 2 में I was able to give 3 tests per subject, but group 1 में I was only able to give 1 test per subject. तो थोड़ा सा वो demotivating था, but I used to make sure कि जो आप questions डाल रहे हो Telegram group पे, उसका मैं written practice कर लेता था जब भी मेरे को, मतलब not daily, but हाँ मैंने ऐसा किया है कि 80% of the days I've done that.
Okay. So again, like Dhruv emphasis, आपने देखा Dhruv को almost सारे subject में बहुत अच्छे marks आए हैं, right? I think he has missed the rank only for SCMP. Yeah. So he has got good marks in all the subject, and one key thing he mentioned कि he gave many tests for all the subjects. Audit में उतना नहीं दे पाया, but he told that's a regret he has कि उसको लगता है कि यार एक ही टेस्ट दिया, अगर और देता तो और अच्छा रहता. So again, every one of you should give the test. रिविजन करते वक्त जो स्टडी रिसोर्सेज थे हम लोगों के ऑडिट के अंदर भी, लॉ के अंदर भी, वो कितने काम आए आपके?
So definitely it worked a lot. Especially मेरे को लगता है कि अगर जैसे सब मैंने अपने एक बार जब समरी नोट्स मैंने बना लिए थे, सैचुरेट हो चुकी थी, काफी चीजें मतलब काफी कंसाइज हो चुकी थी। उसके बाद सब्सिक्वेंटली जैसे आपके रिवीजन वीडियोस होते हैं, एंड देन द ऑडियो नोट्स एंड ऑल, 2 बार सुन लिया, 3 बार सुन लिया, उसके बाद ना इट यूज्ड टू बी लाइक कि हाँ फ्लो में हो रहा है, बैक टू बैक टॉपिक फ्लो में हो रहे हैं। मैंने जो मतलब आपकी जो बुक थी उसको मैंने चेक किया था आईसीएम मटेरियल से, तो इट वाज लाइक सेम ओनली। बट मैं क्योंकि क्लास लेने से पहले थोड़ा सा जब मैंने पढ़ा था तो मैं स्टडी मैट से ही पढ़ रहा था, सो आई यूज्ड टू फोकस ऑन स्टडी मैट ओनली कि यार आई एम फॉलोइंग अ पर्टिकुलर रिसोर्स, नाउ आई चेंज माय रिसोर्स इवन दो ठीक है देयर इज सम टाइम लेफ्ट टू माय एग्जाम, बट स्टिल इट विल रिजल्ट इनटू some unwanted waste of time जहाँ पे मेरे को इस रिसोर्स से familiarize होना पड़ेगा। So I decided कि नहीं, I'll stick to the ICM at only, and बाकी आपकी lectures and video lectures and audio support.
Okay, fine. And apart from that, like 15 minutes का जो रीडिंग टाइम होता है, 15 मिनट का जो रीडिंग टाइम होता है एग्जाम से पहले, हाउ डिड यू यूटिलाइज दैट?
तो जब हम प्रैक्टिस टेस्ट देते हैं घर पे भी, so firstly we have to be very rigid about that. What I used to do was rather than taking 15 minutes, I used to make sure that I'm taking only 12 minutes of reading time, उससे ज्यादा नहीं रहता था, and I used to try and make sure कि मैं 12 मिनट में पूरा पेपर पढ़ रहा हूँ। कभी बार नहीं हो पाता था, but I did not used to stretch it to 15 minutes still कि मैं नहीं 12 मिनट ही है, that is the limit that I have to touch upon. उसके बाद during the paper, luckily for us the paper wasn't that lengthy as it was in case of law, so it wasn't that lengthy. और कुछ कुछ जगह मुझे पता था जहाँ पे जैसे सपोजिटली फॉर एग्जाम्पल से प्रोफेशनल एथिक्स का क्वेश्चन है, तो आई एग्जैक्टली न्यू, थोड़ा सा ऊपर से पढ़ने के बाद मेरे को रिकॉल लकीली हो गया था कि हाँ ये कौन से क्लॉज का है एंड ऑल। अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट कुछ ऐसे क्वेश्चन थे जिसमें मेरा टाइम वेस्ट हुआ, जिसमें मैंने पूरा पढ़ा और एंड में 2 लाइन में उन्होंने रिक्वायरमेंट पूछ रखा था जो स्पेशल ऑडिट के केस में होता है जनरली। तो लकीली फॉर अस आई वुड से कि पेपर वाजंट दैट लेंथी, बट मैंने पूरा 15 मिनट का रीडिंग टाइम लिया था। कुछ सब्जेक्ट में ऐसा हुआ था कि मैं 15 मिनट में पूरा पेपर रीड नहीं कर पाया था, बट स्टिल मैंने फिर वो आगे के 3 घंटों में से 5 मिनट हटाकर मैंने उसको फिर भी रीड किया था। आई डिड नॉट स्टार्ट राइटिंग इमीडिएटली, आई मेड श्योर कि मैं रीडिंग टाइम से यूटिलाइज करा, बिकॉज अगर उसमें गलती हो जाती तो उसमें फिर हो सकता है कि आपका एलिमिनेशन में गलती हो जाए क्वेश्चन में।
Okay. And daily basis में you used to study audit and law, or it was like कि एक गैप आ गया 1 हफ्ते का 10 दिन का, फिर दोबारा audit law start कर लिया? So what used to be the chronology of your revision?
Last के 2 months में there wasn't any gap in audit, probably 2-3 days का gap इधर उधर, but audit was one thing I used to focus upon a lot because I knew कि इससे अगर एक टच छूटा तो पुरानी मेहनत एकदम वेस्ट हो जाएगी। In case of law as well, I used to make sure that I'm recalling the provisions. If not, then at least I'm listening to the audios, ताकि एक वो flow दिमाग में बैठा रहे हर chapter का। But all in all, I wouldn't say कि last के 2 months में ऐसा major कोई period था जिसमें मैंने audit and law नहीं पढ़ा हो। There were the main 2 subjects which I was actually focusing upon.
So continuous revision is the key, cumulative revision is the key. बहुत अच्छी बात की थी ध्रुव ने, राइट? कंटिन्यूअसली टच में रहना है सब्जेक्ट से, क्यूमुलेटिव रिवीजन करना है, देन अगेन लैंग्वेज पे फोकस करना है, प्रेजेंटेशन पे ध्यान देना है, रिटन प्रैक्टिस करनी है, 5-6 बार रिवीजन करना है। So you have to do a lot if you want to get the 70+ marks course in audit law, right? So it's not easy, but it's not tough as well. It's not tough as well. If you follow a dedicated path and a dedicated route like Dhruv did, so definitely again I will tell कि आप सब भी target कर सकते हैं for 70 marks or 70+ in audit and law. So definitely that's possible. So any last thing you will like to say to the students, Dhruv, to conclude?
So basically, I think CA exams में it's very important to have the confidence, not only कि paper कैसा आएगा, but have the confidence in yourself, because I would say कि अब हाँ बहुत revisions हो गई थी, उसके बाद भी I wasn't at that place actually कि जो भी पेपर में आएगा मैं कर दूंगा, ऐसा नहीं था, but still I had this confidence कि चलो नहीं आता मेरे को पूरा, but at least 70% 80% ऐसा होगा जो मैं करके आऊंगा, because मैंने इतनी मेहनत करी है। एंड होता बहुत बार ऐसा कि when we start revising, we not able to immediately recollect the past studies that we have done, and we do not have enough time कि हम वापस उसको recollection में उतना time दे invest करें। It does happen, it does tend to demotivate you as a person, it demotivated me especially, but at that point of time you have to make sure that you are telling your mind that no, I've studied, मेरे साथ नहीं सबके साथ यही केस होता है। You just have, मैं सर पर्सनली यही कहता था उसको कि मेरे साथ नहीं सबके साथ हो रहा होगा। It used to sort of help me कि सबके साथ हो रहा है, but still फिर भी 10% 15% रिजल्ट तो जाएगा ही ना। So it sort of helped me at that time. Having confidence was probably the right ingredient I'd like to say.
Okay. So thank you, Dhruv. I believe key students must have got benefited, right? And again, they can derive the learnings out of this very interview. And again, all the very best as well. All the very best. Keep shining. Keep rocking in life. And all the
Thank you
very
so much,
best to
sir.
all the students as well जो वीडियो देख रहे हैं. उम्मीद कर रहा हूँ कुछ सीखोगे और कुछ एग्जाम में कुछ अच्छी चीजें फॉलो करोगे, right? So all the very
All
best.
the best, everyone.
Yeah, all the very best, everyone. Love you all. Take care.